Hello everyone, this is WGM Sabina Foisor. Welcome to the commentary of the National Middle School Championship K-8 that's taking place in Round Rock, Texas. I'm super excited to be back doing commentary. It's been a while, and we're also getting a raid as I'm starting this, so highly appreciate it. San Luis Chess Club, right on time. I hope everything went well with the Grand Chess Tour. Appreciate you guys being here. So the tournament has just started. It's going to be an exciting weekend with 7 rounds of chess. The players are coming from all over the United States and, of course, are in contention for the title of K-8 champion. Last time we had this championship was last year for the Super Nationals, and this year we're back in Texas in a slightly different event, but a lot of the strong players in that group category are there, so I think we're going to experience a great weekend of chess. Of course, this tournament wouldn't be possible without the help of a lot of people, and I just wanted to say thank you, of course, to US Chess Federation and the sponsors for this event. Actually, we have Silver Knights, GT Anywhere, and Invisalign recently joined as new sponsors. So it's really great to see more people and organizations involved in supporting chess. So if you're interested to find out more on how you can get involved, you can always check out US Chess and US Chess website and get in touch with the marketing and communications manager, National Master Brian Tillis, for to get more information about it. Of course, I wouldn't be here without the help of everyone else on site. Thanks to US Chess staff, tournament directors, volunteers on site. It's and of course the people who are working behind the scenes with the DGTs to make sure we actually get the games. So big thank you to that, and I cannot wait to get into the games. I wanted to let you know that for this tournament we actually have 20 boards live. We have 12 boards for the championship section, and then we have 4 boards in the under 1700 and 2 boards in the under 1400. This is something that hasn't happened in a previous tournament, so it's actually nice to see. Generally we see the grades, the championship games, but now we'll have a few additional boards too, so that's kind of exciting to me and hopefully to you. Let me know where you're watching from, and if you have a specific game in mind that you want me to go over, I'll gladly do so. I pinned to the chat the link with a preview of the tournament, as well as the link for the chess.com games. In addition to the tournament, there's some side events. So if you happen to be on site, you will have the opportunity to challenge the Grandmaster resident, let's say, or Grandmaster invited, who is Julio Sadorra. Very, very nice personality, friend of mine. So I hope you have the opportunity, if you have the opportunity to join in his lectures or stop by and challenge him for some blitz, feel free to do so. It's very, always gives great advice in my opinion. Another special guest for the event is going to be woman Grandmaster and former 3-time US Women's Champion Jennifer Shahade. She's going to have a book signing. And then if you happen to stop by the Girls Club room, you're going to be able to meet 2 other very awesome female players, International Master Tatev Abrahamyan and Women's International Master Luciana Morales. So great. I'm expecting a great event this weekend. Hopefully you'll stick around. 7 rounds are going to be played for this tournament. The time control for it is 90 minutes with 10 seconds increment. Actually, 10 seconds delay. Apologies. 90 minutes with 10 seconds delay. And tomorrow is going to be the toughest day, I think, for the players. And we are potentially going to experience some losses maybe, or some unexpected wins by maybe lower rated players, or maybe not. Maybe the stronger player is going to win them all. Who knows? I can't wait, and I'm sure you can't wait either. So let's get into the games. So on board one, for this round, we have International Master Brian Lin. Brian has finished second in the Super Nationals last year, but last year he was in 7th grade. So this year, I think he's definitely hoping for, winning the event. He's the highest rated. The ratings that you see, for those of you who are going to ask, are the ratings that Chess.com pulls from FIDE. So their USCF ratings are different. If you do want to check out their ratings, you can do so if you go on the standings or pairing sheet. All right. So it looks like Brian started with e4, and we got into 4 knights, h3. That's definitely an unexpected line. I don't believe I've seen this often, but these days I see a lot of kids trying out new ideas. Oftentimes this move is played in order to stop the move bishop g4, but you can have ideas with g4, g5. So who knows? In some situation, if you want to be super aggressive, I guess you can consider that. And since, we haven't quite decided the placement of the bishop, maybe we'll flank activating g2. I do not know much about this. If any of you knows, please feel free to let me know. More natural moves that we encounter here for white are either d4 to kind of transpose to a scotch. We also have bishop b5 as a main one. Sometimes I've seen people play g3, but certainly this h3 move is a bit new to me. Knight takes, bishop b5, queen d6. Okay, so interesting. If I were white here, considering the status of the position, the way things are going, black does have a pawn in the center. I would say maybe d4 would look like a nice, the nice way to break through the position. But maybe white just wants to just proceed with a normal castle, and then go for rook e1 and try to take advantage of the king in the center. There are various ways we can approach, I guess, here, but we'll have to wait and see. It's still quite early. Moving on to board 2, Ethan Guo also has competed in the Super Nationals last year, and I remember last round was one of those that I thought he was gonna win, but ended up drawing. That game kind of stayed in my mind. For those of you who want to replay what happened at the Super Nationals, you can always do so by following US Chess's YouTube page. More videos have been posted there in the past couple of years, and there's quite a lot of educational content from youth events. Okay, so we have just the Alapin Sicilian. This is, in my opinion, one of those lines that a lot of people are trying to play against the Alapin with black. Generally, we see queen takes d5, but actually I do like knight f6 quite a bit more because, if you are not a Scandinavian player, then you probably don't want to develop your queen to d5 just yet. So bringing in the knight, I think, makes a little bit more sense to me. I do like a knight in the center, and it's always nice to attract potential weaknesses. Maybe it's a strength for white to get a bit of extra space, but in the same time, that pawn is going to be easily traded, and black will regain its space. So we do like this. g6, knight c3. Okay, so both players are just following a normal development. I'm expecting knight b6 to be played in this position. Obviously, knight takes c3 is an option, but when you are the higher rated player, generally you try to keep more tensions. You try to keep more pieces on the board to make things difficult for the opponent. So I have the feeling that this is going to be something to be played. Okay, so we're having a reti here on board 3 of the 8th grade championship section. Started with knight f3 and b3 by Tariq. and we are basically playing a reversed Pirk or modern. So in positions where you are allowing the opponent to have more space, generally we're going to see a break in the center. So maybe knight d2, and then we'll have two choices with white. We can play either e4 or we can play c4. This is just a matter of what you feel is going to be more more your style. I mean, generally we would not want e4 if black has the ability to play, for example, d4 and then e5, because black is going to kind of close down the position and our bishops are not going to be very happy. Generally, when you fianchetto your bishops, you want to open up the position. You want those bishops to look from one side of the board to the other. If they're not doing that, then, well, why did you even place them there, right? We need to give a purpose to every single piece. And so I'm tempted to believe that c4 is going to be the break that white will go for, but don't count e4 out completely, because if you do get to play e4, black plays d4 and you can get e5, maybe white is comfortable with playing that position because they still will get a little bit more space towards the king side and will probably find a way to push on that side of the board. I'm so excited to see Megan back in the pack in these tournaments. Megan is one of our youngest up-and-coming talents, female talents, and she's played some great chess in the past tournaments that I've commented on, so I'm looking forward to see her progress in this one. Looks like she went for the Tarrasch defense, knight f3, knight c6, bishop g5. Generally, white is waiting for that move when black puts the knight in f6 to pin it. If you develop the bishop to g5 too soon, black has the opportunity to try to trade it, and well, I'm not sure you actually want to do that just yet. Maybe we can wait a few moves, because if we were to take, black recaptures with the knight, and I know we can capture this pawn, but I don't believe that's going to be good enough for white. d4, black gains a little bit of space, and if you go there, you might struggle a bit. After queen a5 check, you have to do this. And I have the feeling something's going to be lost. I don't see it yet, but I know it will happen one way or another. Maybe we can just proceed with our development and we'll see about that knight, because it's difficult. Anytime we'll try to bring it back into play, black will regain the pawn and it will be a good position. Okay. All right. So bishop e7, bishop f4, e3, c4, bishop e2, castle. All right. Now, many of you may ask, okay, Sabina, black has played c4. Talking about the pawn structure, is that a good move or not? It is tricky to answer yes or no. It depends on the situation. So every situation is different. It depends on what exactly you want to achieve, what you're trying to get away from, and such. So by playing this move c4, black is saying, you had the chance. You had your chance to capture in c5 and try to get me to move my bishop again. Now you don't want to take that chance. You freed up your bishop. You're going to take it out. You might want to play bishop b5, and I just don't want you to do that. I don't want to let you get the bishop there. So I'm going to play c4, close down your bishop, take away the d3 square. And now and I've also created a majority for myself on the queen side. Now if you want to, get rid of that pawn and not let me gain more space and start marching my majority, you probably have to consider the right moment to play b3. But you have to be careful, right? Because if you play it too soon, you are weakening the knight in c3, and black will have the opportunity to go bishop b4, followed by queen a5, knight e4, and you have played e3, which now restricts the return of the bishop to d2 to actually protect the knight in c3. So you're going to lose material. You have to be very mindful of the way you are breaking through in that position. So white will probably have to first proceed with the development of the king side castle, maybe place the queen in c2, maybe not, maybe the rook in c1, and then play b3, which will give black sufficient time to actually support that pawn and remain with the majority there. As for white, it's going to be a bit difficult to get to break through with e4. We'll need a few moves, but that would be, in my opinion, the right plan. I would castle, maybe put the knight in e5. This bishop may need to be ensured with h3, bishop h2, and then white can proceed with f3, e4. A very typical plan, kind of started out by Botvinnik, and you can encounter that kind of plan from various d4 openings like Queen's Gambit or maybe Nimzo Indian. Lots of even King's Indian you can follow through with the plan with f3. The pawn is generally already on e4, but yeah. So pretty standard plans for both sides. The position is still kind of early in the game to Jashit started with the move knight c3. This is interesting. This is called, I think, Van Griet or Van Giet or something like that. But it's going to transpose to something different. Okay, knight c6, queen d3. Okay. I'm actually a bit I'm trying to decide what kind of pawn structure I actually want to try to get with black here, because we know this trade is going to happen. I'm not sure if knight f6 was necessarily the best move in the position. It depends on the kind of setup the black wants to get. If he wants to play like dragon style, he can go for g6, in which case white may be able to go e4, and we have transposed to some kind of dragon Sicilian. Oh, the audio is good? All right. Oh, I'm glad the audio is good. I mean, that was the first thing I tested. So hopefully stays good throughout. If you ever notice the mic, something's up with the mic, or you can't hear me, feel free to let me know if you have questions. That's why I'm here. My goal is to make this as educational as possible. It's definitely a pleasure to be a part of the team. With feel like I'm part of the event with the players. I get to share the progress of some of our youngest talents. We've started with the high school championship, went on to elementary, and now to middle school for this year for the national championships, and it's definitely a pleasure. Seeing them year by year grow, be more creative, come back eager to win the event every year. And even those players who maybe don't get the chance to win, I hope it's a great experience from them, and just being able to be there and meet some of the grandmasters, join in one of the lectures, or maybe tune into my stream and learn something. Our goal is to spread the love for chess, and if I can be a small part in that, I'm happy. I'm happy. Anyways, so here I was just saying, I'm not quite sure how black's thinking to get the pawn structure. If you wanted to play with g6, then I would have expected that move to be played earlier, because now the problem is, well, we get this kind of pawn structure, which I don't know if it's really what black wanted. Now, obviously, this wasn't gonna be good, because even if black has the bishop pair, the pawn structure is really weak, and we have a great outpost for later on for ourselves. I definitely think white would continue with e4, bishop e2, castle. But here, even after this take, I know there's some Sicilians where this pawn structure is acceptable, but I just have the feeling black could have tried to get a little bit better from the position than that. So I would be delaying the development of the knight in f6 when I see a potential pin or pressure on the knight can happen, I would be more interested in stopping that. But well, we'll see. We'll see how this game progresses. On board 6, so as I mentioned, we have 12 boards for the championship section, 4 boards in the under 1700 and 2 boards in the under 1400. It's kind of exciting to see those players too, and give them the opportunity to have a game on DGT and have it analyzed, and hopefully I'm giving enough feedback. Wow, wait, what have we seen here? Because this looks interesting. And VJ is a player I've played against twice in 2 tournaments, and it hasn't been easy. I have won those games, but it's been tough. One of them I'm not sure I was supposed to necessarily win. I got a bit lucky with the calculation, but I keep seeing his rating grow and increase, and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough having to play against him again. So it looks like the players went for the gioco piano, not pianissimo, with d4. Pianissimo would be d3, so very slow play, and white has simple ideas of development and eventually putting in some pressure towards the king side. Okay, so d4. E takes d4, takes bishop b4. Okay. So main line, I believe, is bishop d2. And then when you capture, knight takes d2. And it is very, very important to break through the center with d5. This is highly theoretical, but also, something you want to know. If you miss playing d5 in this position with black, you're going to be in some kind of trouble, because white center just can push you back. Knight c3 is one of the oldest line, and goes back to the time of Greco. So after knight takes e4, white castles in this position, which is what happened in the game. And don't you dare to take the pawn. Hopefully everyone knows this trap. If you grab the pawn like that, then queen e1 is going to make you lose a piece. And if you capture with the knight, bishop takes. In this position, white generally plays the move bishop a3 or queen b3, and if you dare to take the rook, you're going to be in trouble once again. This is one of those things that if you're a coach, you have to definitely show it to your students, so that they don't go for the material, because in the end they are going to be the ones who are in difficulty after queen takes a1. Even if the material seems relatively balanced here, with white having a queen and a knight for rook and 2 rooks and 2 pawns, because the king is in the center and black is underdeveloped, white is really close to winning. But Vijay, of course, is aware of this. He goes for bishop takes, and now he goes, no, he actually, wait a second, after bishop takes, white played d5. Okay, so white changed. If this was going to happen, I presume black was going to go for the main line, which is d5. And in this position, black manages to hold on to the pawn for a little bit of time, but white has the bishop pair. So we need to immediately castle, or else bishop a3 will stop us from doing that, and it's going to be a bit difficult. So this is just some more theory to know. d5 is actually interesting. It's a more recent idea of white's. And the point is, we will let you have the bishop, but we're actually going to grab the knight. So bishop back to f6 and rook e1. Before taking the knight, we want to try to see if we can do anything on the e-file. Knight e7, white recaptures d6, an important move. Or else, if you allow white to play d6, you're going to struggle with the development of the bishop in c8. So you have to play d6, bishop g5, takes, and queen e2. Okay. So now white gave up the knight, and try to build the pressure, build the initiative on this knight in e7, which is underprotected. Black's only move to defend is bishop well, not only move, but a move that's the best here is bishop e6. So after the capture, Black has to go either f6 or f5. I'm not sure which one is the one that VJ is going to choose, but the idea is White's e-file has been locked in by their own pawn. This is the kind of defense that I'm always fond of explaining, because it's a great reminder that when we push a pawn forward, we need to think whether the opponent is really forced to recapture or not. A lot of the times we think, oh, I played this, they have to take back. No, they do not have to take back unless you are forcing them to. And to force them, you generally have to have a serious threat, which will require them to make the move that you want them to. And Black, of course, wants to keep their king safe, so one of those moves, like I said, has to be played. And Black is going to attempt to stay up the extra pawn, and I presume there's going to be some d5, c6, or just d5, get the queen out, and long castle. But this is not the line I see very much. So I'm actually curious how the two players are going to approach this game further, because up until this moment, both of them seem to have been very familiar with the theory, and it looks like maybe VJ had to think through some moments, because the time difference is of 20 minutes, and like I said, the time control is 90 with 10 seconds delay, 90 minutes, and we are getting a 2 moves delay in the broadcast, so these games are kind of like in real time almost. Looks like f6 was played. And how should we proceed with White is the question. I'm thinking some bishop d3 to have the rook move, but actually we're not threatening bishop g6, so that might not be necessarily something that... Although we could go bishop d3 anyway, switch over to the c file, and then threaten bishop g6, but still, I don't think it's fast enough. White's attack kind of fizzled out if we think about it a bit, you know? It's just went away, not so clear anymore. Not so clear whether something can actually happen. I mean, they're not much worse. They still have a bishop versus the knight, but in terms of getting to attack the black king, I think it's not really happening. Okay, board 7 has brought up a Smith-Morra gambit, and it's kind of exciting. Last night before, I always do a stream on my own channel before coming on US Chess, just to kind of remind everyone that I'll be on a different channel to join in if they have the time. And I did attempt the Smith-Morra gambit myself, and my last win of the day, actually, last night, or technically this morning, was a Smith-Morra, so proud of that. Had to share some of my gains too. But generally I don't take in d4 though. Like, if you're gonna play a gambit, I feel like we should go all in. We should give up the pawn. But there's nothing wrong with queen takes d4. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that I think you know, you should go all in if you can. Queen d3. And now Elliot chose to go for knight c3, back to some normal Sicilian. Knight f6, bishop f4. So he does play it a bit in the Smith-Morra style, but not quite, I think. Those of you who are wondering, well, what's the queen doing in d3? Oftentimes we see it in d2. Is it exposed? Is there something? Yeah, the queen is more potentially more exposed there, but it also has some nice ideas to switch over to the other side of the board, and is not allowing sacrifices in e4 per se, or maybe the pin here, but the queen does have other possibilities that it can do, like queen g3, queen h3 in some situations, and it can be good. In d2, you usually place it when you can trade the bishop in h6, but here we can't do that, so we're just going to bring the queen over to the other side, castle, and, well, let's see which castle. I haven't really said which castle. I'm still holding on, and I guess Elliot has not shown us yet which side he wants to castle. If it were me, I would probably castle short, personally, and then bring in the rooks here. With having to place the bishop in g3 and knight in f3, now the queen doesn't necessarily have a great spot there. We'll have to consider switching it to something else. But we definitely have that outpost, so I'm anticipating some knight d5 at some point. Hi there, Challenger Duke. How are you doing? Great to see you back on the channel. And maybe long castle is also not a bad idea. With the bishop in g3 protecting, we don't need to be worried that the pawn is going to be hanging, so we can certainly castle long too. It's not short castle is not the only option for white. You have to kind of think what do you want to do after. If you want to try to push these pawns on the queen side, I'd certainly castle short. If you want to try to do something more central and maybe with f4, then probably long castle. So that would be the thing. We have another Larsen here. This is actually played in the style of Nimzo Larsen, with getting the bishop to b5, not double fianchetto, like we saw in the previous game. This looks pretty standard, I'd say. Not very theoretical. Plan-wise, let's talk about that. I think white wants to... I believe white should play d3. But careful about the bishop in b5, though. Maybe knight g3 first to... f3 could be a nice approach as well. I think white needs to be a bit careful about the bishop. If this knight ends up moving, then the bishop could be trapped. So that's the only thing you have to be careful with white. But other than that, I think we're good. How have I been? I've had better days, but I'm definitely very happy to be back doing commentary for these ones. Commentaries always keep me on the edge of the seat, excited and ready to learn. As much as I share my my knowledge with you guys, I'm learning too. Sometimes new openings, other times ideas that I hadn't seen before. It's always, you know, we always learn as long as we're willing to. I think we always have to have an open mind to learning new things, and commentary is something that I enjoy. So when I'm doing this, I can always say I'm doing great. Castle, bishop d3, d5. Okay, so this is one of those ideas that was first introduced by Botvinnik. So there's also the possibility to play a3 too. With the similar idea, just you're trying to force black to give up the bishop a bit sooner, and then the setup is relatively similar, just with a pawn in a3. Now, if you play a3, you are forcing them to take in c3, but in the same time, you're wasting a move. So if you can try to just play normal, and then they have to take there eventually, well, sure, let them. Why would we be worried about that? Bishop d3 here, a3. And okay, black goes directly for the capture in c4, not takes in c3, but rather just take here first to make sure. We know he'll recapture. I mean, it really doesn't matter. If you're going to take in c3, then and then c4 or the other way around, it doesn't matter. The other way, you could have gone. Either way, you could have gone back to e7 and just play some kind of Queen's Gambit, but there's no need for that. Looks like black went for the normal idea, and now there's no real reason anymore to put the knight in e2. So a lot of the times when we play e3, we want to develop the knight here to cover this other knight. So in some situations we can actually recapture. But the knight here has multiple purposes. It can also be brought to g3 or to f4 to support the space gain. But it looks like white decides, I prefer to have the knight in f3, is a bit more active, better place, controls 2 central squares. I have that outpost. Maybe I'll go for f4 later. So we'll see. Queen c2, okay. But that would not be my pick choice, and I'll tell you why. When these pawns are in tension, right, in attention, and there's the opportunity to capture, I believe this is not the right placement for the queen, because if a rook gets on the c file, then the queen is going to be in trouble. The file will open up, and what do you do with the queen? But instead, if we have the queen placed in e2, we have the ability to switch it over to that diagonal later, and it's more secure, it's less easy to be attacked. This would be my go-to square. Now, whether I'll go right now or later, that's a different story, but I believe that's the right square for the queen. Personally, I kind of was looking at this idea, as I told you earlier, that I kind of liked. And the point is, if they capture, which I think makes sense, we recapture. Now it looks like we've destroyed a bit our pawn structure, but we are also gaining a bit of space. We gain that outpost. Of course, we don't have a knight anymore, but hey, the rook can look great there as well. The knight would have to move back, I think d7. d5, there's a possibility for me to just win a pawn, so this would be something I'd expect, and then black has to figure out how to develop, because, for example, if you play something like this, who knows? Who knows? Maybe I will start some... should I go queen f3 first, and then maybe queen f3, because it comes in with tempo, and you don't get bishop b7. You have to go there. And then we can think. Maybe rook d1 to get the file. Maybe a4 to try to go a5, bishop a3. So there's a few moves for white that can improve the position. It's not, huge advantage or anything. An alternative would be to play a4 directly and not destroy the pawn structure with the pawns, like I said, in attention. We can go bishop a3, pin the pawn, and then have the ability to take it. So it's a matter of preference in a way, but yeah, I think this is kind of nice. But queen c2, okay, well, we'll see. We'll see what comes of this. Some idea that I think black could think about is chasing the bishop away. Now, if you go to a2, this is something we can think about. But you need to know exactly when you do it. If you play this move too soon, white will have the ability to gain the extra space. So you need to make sure the e4 square is controlled before you're considering to do that, because you've lost the pressure in the center. So now you cannot open up the center anymore, and white is going for the extra space and the ability to lock in the position somewhat to actually focus on the side of the board where they are better. So you have to be very careful if you're going to choose to do that. But generally, the reason I showed that move is because I think b6 would be nice, and then black would proceed with bishop b7, bishop a6, something like that. Okay, we played. Did you win? How was the game? Great to have you here. Hopefully you're enjoying the commentary too. I haven't done Lichess stream for Lichess in a while. But I am streaming on my channel generally, or here. I won. Oh, sorry. Maybe I was some years ago. I'm still working on it. You know, if you don't train enough, sometimes you're losing your edge. But I'm working my way back. Hope you're well. Great. It's always great to see new people joining in the stream. Okay, so the plan is going to be like this, but when remains to be seen. Or I really like to say for idea. I don't know. It's something I've done in the past for white in these types of positions. But also, of course, you might say, but e4 is not easy of a move to make because we are weakening the center, and if something like this happens, we need to be ready for the attack, and keep in mind that we have weakened this pawn, so you know, gotta think about how to proceed. All right, board 10. Alex choose playing the black pieces against Sean Zero Waters. We have a Dutch, Leningrad, out of all Dutch. Oh, okay, that is a bit too much for me. Wow. Okay, I need a minute. I'm sorry if my reaction was a bit surprised. This is definitely not a move I've seen before. It has a point. The point is to stop e5. I get it. But white is weakening dark squares, outposts. It would not be my first choice, I gotta say, you know? You prefer, well, I go with the I go with the requested site. I go with the I have no problem with any sites personally. So all sites are good. No not taking favorites, at least not when I'm doing commentary here. So f4. So okay, for those of you who are wondering why I'm so surprised, generally to stop the c5 push, white goes for d5. Okay, so the idea is when you will get e5, white will capture en passant, and you cannot recapture immediately because the bishop is needed to protect b7. So black generally, when you take en passant, plays c6 and then proceeds to capturing this bishop the next move. And in general, white has a really nice development with knight h3. The knight comes into play through f4 or g5, and this remains a weakness where, you know, white can put the bishop in f4 if the knight goes to g5, obviously, or the other way around. They have to figure it out. Castle. The queen generally goes to b3, and anyways, the pressure is on the pawn in d6. So d5 is generally the way that white stops the e5 push. This is definitely not something I've seen. It cannot be, it's not too bad. Obviously, white is just building in space, but it's just if e4 doesn't get to be played, I'm not happy for white. If e4 gets to be played, I think white should be fine here. So we'll see if white is able to get that move in. Maybe they will. Queen b6. Okay, so this is the current position. We don't want to play e4 too soon because we haven't castled, but you know. Can the chat be my favorite? Yeah, sure. I mean, but we need to we need to choose a we need to choose a platform to show the games. So, you know, some platform is going to be chosen. And that's okay. But yeah, chat is definitely doing great so far. Always happy with my chat in general. I haven't had many issues. So that's definitely something I'm thankful for. It's hard to trade. Are you saying to try to trade the dark? It's very difficult for white to trade the dark sword bishop that fast. I don't think I've ever seen it in this line. Generally, if you go bishop g5 and castle and then queen d2, I don't think this is something you ever encounter. Like now there will be pressure on here, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone to attempt the trading of the bishops. But this is I certainly understand what you're saying, but that's okay. I mean, white does have more space, so all pieces on the board being kept, it's fine. I think it's an acceptable thing to hope for. I'm assuming castle, and black's gonna still try to find its way to push e5. I think knight d7, rook e8, and e5 potentially. Hi there, machine. Great to see you back too. Awesome to see many of you being back for the middle school championships. You know, it's always a pleasure being here. We have some interesting openings. I mean, definitely. Oh, only 3 moves on this game. Maybe there's a DGT issue for this game because not getting moves. Yeah, all of these kids are middle school. So we are looking at the K through 8. So some of them are younger, but you can check out the let's see if the command works. Great. Did I mess it up? Yeah, if you click on that link, you can see their actual ratings. These ratings you see here are their FIDE ones, but their USCF are different. But yeah, the titles generally are true. We also have an IM in the tournament. 1 or 2 IMs. It's over in the championship section. I checked, there were over 230 kids. Texas, yeah, Texas has certainly brought in some strong players, definitely. I think a lot of the times we see kids from, I mean, it's generally New York, Texas, and California, I think, that we see more kids. I mean, maybe it makes sense for because of the areas, and there are a lot of tournaments in those areas too, so they get the chance to play against one another, get better, you know, improve as you play and stuff. So it's definitely something that can help nature and you know, help the kids further their progress, because I believe as you learn new things, you have to, you know, to practice them, to play them. And just online, I don't know how much it helps, because over the board is a completely different story. Over the board, there's more pressure going on, I think. At home, you're relaxed, you chill, nothing to lose. Over the board, you're feeling things a bit differently, I think. And also, you're going from 2D to 3D. Personally, I don't have a huge problem with that, but I've heard a lot of people these days mentioning how a 2D board, 2-dimensional board, like we see right on the screen, and the 3-dimensional board actually makes them feel different. Like they don't remember their openings. They don't. I don't know. I don't have that problem. So if someone in the chat has, feel free to share how you feel about having to train on a, you know, on a computer and then go to play over the board. Maryland also has some strong players. Yeah, in the elementary they had some, but also a lot of the times I notice in these national championships, a lot of kids are coming from the area where the tournament is being played. So, you know, you see some of the stronger ones there, which maybe otherwise wouldn't travel. It is tricky because the US is such a big country, and I understand sometimes with the travel, it takes time and financial resources to bring everyone, together in a place. And I think what a great goal would be is to find more sponsorships to also help those kids from, um, you know, areas, or um, they cannot afford to travel maybe, and just find sponsorships that would help those kids travel with their families. And I know there's work on that, and there's a way you can support that if you want to. And um, it's chess can um, help change lives in a way. I think I've heard many stories, and we haven't the opportunity to actually work on a podcast for US Chess, which is called Class in Session. If you haven't checked it out, I appreciate it if you would. You can find it on YouTube, um, on US Chess YouTube page. And going through and interviewing various people, it's been an inspiration to me to see a lot of ladies who are involved in the community, and work with various programs to help youth who are struggling. Like, for example, one of my last podcasts was with Kala Begley, who was mentioning she actually is supporting kids from juvenile facilities, for example. And yeah, mentioning how it helped. Like, it just feels us more like feel more, I don't know, just gives us good feelings. And also, like, when you hear the stories that it actually helps some people, I think it's great. So, I got emotional when it's a passionate topic. For me, I always get excited. So it's always nice to see kids all over, and get some inspiration. And I like that these tournaments take place in different parts in the US, because that way the federation also has guests on site, and if they go there, kids can also learn new things from grandmaster that maybe otherwise they wouldn't see. And then they get to learn a thing or two, and it's nice. It's nice. Ad, sorry about the ad. My ad, or you got an ad, I don't know. All right, what else? Hi there, 11 years, great to see you here. You used to play chess in a barber shop? Wow, that's interesting. Inspirational speech. I try my best, okay? I try. It's not just I try. I truly believe the things that you hear me say. It's genuine, I promise. It happens to sound more I can tell once I'm done. I'm the kind of person that always replays the things that I say in my mind. Is like, did it really sound good? Did it really come across the way I wanted it to, or was it, yeah, it's okay. Let's get back to this game. So we have lots of strong players from all over. This is the last board that's from the championship section, and then board 13 is going to be under 1700. Okay, so it looks like the engine does not like the move 92. Probably the whole plan is not so great for white in this position. This is like a con Sicilian, right? So generally the king goes here, and then f4 is being played, to my knowledge. There were some ideas with a4, but I don't think, maybe earlier. But I mean, he did play a3 instead of other things. I think main lines here are bishop d3 or bishop e2. So white deviated quite fast from it, and then I understand the knight in b3 isn't doing much, or the knight in c3 is blocking things, but what does it do? He probably wants to bring in the knight over here. But yeah, I do believe f4 is the right thing to do. US chess commentary safe for another season. Tell that to Brian. Send Brian that message. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, that made my day. That was a good one. Thanks. uh, don't you like my US chess team jacket? Come on. No, I got this. When I was head of delegation last year for World Youth Championships. I feel like I have to look the part for the commentary, all blue, you know. And maybe I can make a suggestion to get something more purple too, because like you see this green screen behind me, right, with blue and pinkish purple, whatever. Maybe we'll talk about some lavender. That would be nice. And then you'll see me wearing lavender, still US chess merch. We'll work on it. Thanks. All right. So what do we think about this maneuvering with the knight in g3? Does black have any way to win something here? Because it just looks a bit too... a bit too much. Some knight g4? Or just take this bishop? But I don't know. Oh, I cannot take with the queen? Oh, maybe d5? d5 is quite typical. Okay. So I have to take with the pawn. And what about d5 anyways? Ah, what if d5 directly then? Can black just play d5 directly? Apparently so. And there's an even better move than d5. What's better than d5? Ah, maybe h5? Can we? Should we? Yeah. Because if you play h4, that pawn is going to be troublesome. I feel like you can't go for that. It's that is a problem. That is certainly a problem. Okay. Maybe Can Sicilian is a good idea for black. I'm looking at Sicilian ideas these days because I see more and more kids playing them, and I'm starting to be inspired. When I was growing up, my parents introduced me to the French, Gurgenidze, Caro-Kann, various Pirc lines, but Sicilians were scary for me. I wasn't ready to memorize a lot, but it's nice to see these days with the ability to have move trainer on various websites or simply on ChessBase, just saving your files and just repeating them and going over and analyzing. It just kind of helps to play something more sharp, and I think it's Sicilian is definitely one of those openings you want to think about. You feel like taking a nap? Oh no, did I say something wrong? Is it slow paced? Too slow paced for you, the commentary? You're going to get coffee. That's a very wise idea. I did not think to do that before going on stream, but don't worry, I'll take a break shortly once we catch up with all these openings. And once I do, I will make sure to get some coffee as well. Okay, so we have an exchange variation. So this game, by the way, is played in the under 1700 section. So we have an exchange variation of the French, and then white goes for c4 to create some pressure. c5. Okay, knight b3 is kind of necessary because that pawn is hanging. But now, if we go queen d3, maybe the knight will have to go back and figure out a way to get b4 in. 2 rounds today, yes, 2 rounds today. So this one is now, and then the next round starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know if you're on Easterns or, yeah, it starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. their time, because they're Central time. So yeah, tomorrow there will be more games. So board 2 in the under 1700 section, and the queen's gambit exchange, but this knight in c6 is definitely not my favorite. It just feels a bit unpleasant not having the ability to play c6 or c5, give black more space, open up the queen. I know the knight is better placed there than in d7, but you do need that pawn. You're not the only one. I've done, I did a stream on my channel. It went longer than I thought. I think it went till about 1:30 a.m. Normally I wouldn't do that, but it felt good. I went over one of my games from a recent tournament, played a little bit, and did some tactics in preparation for the commentary. So it felt good to do that. Okay. I mean, this position, if you ask me, I think black has to capture with the pawn, and then probably we'll see stuff like this. Castle. I would definitely go for b4, and white will have to figure out if that bishop needs to be ensured to retreat it, and then some knight e5. Pillsbury style idea and attack is definitely something that white can do, and yeah, kind of like it. To tell the truth, I don't know if the capture is necessary here for white. I mean, white could have waited a bit more with some rook c1. Like, wait for black to capture, that way the pawn would remain there and block him. There's a lot of pressure and control over e5, so e5 for black is not possible, therefore the bishop will be stuck. And ideas with b5 will eventually lead to the c-file being a bit weak, and I think white should be doing slightly better here. Maybe we can go bishop b1 first, queen d3. So we had Dragon Sicilian on this board. It's still part of the theory, but maybe the players are not familiar with it. I don't know. This is pretty standard. Takes, takes, takes. Bishop f3. Queen goes back somewhere. I think black is okay here. This is weak, and we'll fold the next move. What was this? Ah, Rosolimo, okay. e5, rook e1. I always found it interesting when white played c4 here. Just kind of copycat, but now we are in a position where we wasted a move with white. So I don't know if this is really what we want. Okay, and these boards, these last 4 boards are for the under 1400 section. Definitely impressed by the setup in these under 1400 section game. I mean, we have some kind of Schlechter setup for black. So a mix between, you know, King's Indian and Grunfeld, right? With d5. White also fianchetto, so you could say it's like a Catalan slash Schlechter. Knight b4 to have some threats. Knight f3. Maybe that wasn't the most necessary move here. I think White generally wants to play e4, and I actually would like this move. Push the bishop back. If you have the opportunity to take control of the center, you should. You definitely should. Knight c3, queen e5. And yeah, okay. Looks good. Looks good. Black is coming back into play. Since White didn't get e4 at the right time, now it's difficult to play it. So, also this is gonna be a bit unpleasant. Maybe e3, but do we really want to play e3? Not really. Queen c1 looks sus. A bit too suspicious. Maybe a3. Because if they go there, we'll go rook c1 and we'll attempt giving up the rook. That's covered. We'll give up the rook for 2 pieces. Should be fine. Okay, here we had a Scandi, looks like. Very nice setup by White. Knight e4. Okay. Chase the bishop away, get extra space. Okay, this part, I don't think I liked this before that much. I would probably consider playing h3 first. Because, okay, if you're going to take the bishop, take it, but keep the queens on the board. The way it happened in the game, White has to trade the queens. And not just trade the queens, but get a little bit of a messed up pawn structure. Obviously, White still has the bishop pair. There's no issue with the king or anything, but... you know, why break something that works well, right? Oh, b5 is nice. A very nice blockading move. This pawn is backwards, right? So we're gonna make sure c4 doesn't happen, or if it does, we'll trade, and then White will remain with an isolated pawn. If you don't push it well, then isolated pawn won't happen, but we'll have this outpost. Okay, pretty normal. Okay. Okay, we're having some decent... oh, here is not looking good for White. It looks like White messed up. Wow, lots of Scandinavians these days. That's a bit surprising. Oh, wow, Jaden actually has 1785 as a FIDE rating. That's nice. That is nice. So I think generally people go queen e2 and long castle here. Knight e4 seems a bit... like it's helping black, because trade should help. I think black should have captured with a pawn. Followed by some kind of c5. Knight c6. Oh, this is one of those tactics. Oh, one of those tactics. It seems that you trapped the queen. I see what happened. I see what happened. White thought they're trapping the queen. I mean, I think this is probably the best, or there's even better than that. Okay, what's the better? What's the better? Maybe this? Better move. But after bishop g5, black took. And the thing is, like, now if you go queen e2, okay, he's just gonna move the queen or something. Or maybe he has a check first. Okay, this looks good for black, but white took the queen and now stayed down a pawn. I mean, okay, this is going to be difficult to play without a pawn. So black just needs to trade as many pieces as possible, and yeah, more material is falling. That's a pity, because this position was looking fine for white. Queen f6 is definitely not such an ideal situation, but And then the final board that we have on a DGT is this one. This is board 4 in the the wing gambit. The wing gambit. It's been a while. I know there are some YouTube videos with the wing gambit, and they generally say like, you know, you should, when you take it, white's gonna play a3. It's kind of like a banco in a way, and then when you take it, white doesn't even recapture. Plays first d4 to control the center, get some pieces out, and then grabs that pawn. And normally it's difficult for black to get a good setup, but you should be able to be fine. A lot of people, though, choose not to accept the gambit, but white is still gaining quite a bit of center. At least we have transposed to a French pawn structure, but the bishop is still in c8. That was probably not very ideal for white. White needs to just get the normal development, and the fact that we have the diagonal, you know, we always can do something nice on the diagonal, I'd say. And c3, of course, and we also have this diagonal, to be fair, because the bishop is in b6 now, not where it should be. So anyways, yep. This is looking a bit scary, but not really. White has gone wrong here with this idea, because you see, what did c4 do after all? Just helped black open up the bishop, the French bishop. No, I don't like it so much, unfortunately. Bryant. Maybe just c5. Why not? Why not? We have a nice extra space, more control in the center, followed by development, knight c3, rook b8. Yeah, this seems to be helping black, and although white has been able to bring in the bishop and the queen on the b1 h7 diagonal, there's no real threat, and the problem that white is facing is the opening of the c file, and with the 2 bishops placed on that file, it will give black the ability to put on some pressure. Plus there are these with bishop f5 now that you have to be careful about. Oh, look at that. Scary. Wait, couldn't black just take this pawn? I believe so. There's a free pawn. Bishop e4 just allows black, allows white to trade. No. Aw. So Ethan missed a little bit of a chance there to try to get, I think, a better position, but okay, it happens to the best of us sometimes to make the wrong decisions. Still doing better with time. And with that, we have reviewed all of the games, and looks like there will be some exciting things coming up next. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a short break, maybe like 10 to 15 minutes max, and I'm gonna leave you guys with the overview of the top boards in the championship section. And let's see if it works. Yes, it's there. So I will return in about 10 to 15 minutes. I hope you'll enjoy these games. Don't forget that in the chat I have pinned the link to the chess.com games where you can follow the broadcast. So if you want to change through the games, feel free to do so, and hopefully you'll stay close, as I will be returning with a little bit more energy. Not that I don't have any. And yeah, hope to see you in a few minutes. Thanks for staying close. Bye for now. All right, we are back. Welcome back, everyone. E4. E4. How are we going to respond to that? Should we go for the Carol? Should we go for Sicilian? I think we're going to go for Sicilian next one. Welcome. Welcome back, everyone. For those of you who are on site, just wanted to remind you that there are a couple of interesting things happening on site. Um, there's there are a few guests on site that are looking forward to meeting you, or maybe you're looking forward to meeting them. Now is your chance at 2:30 p.m. local time. So about 15 minutes ago, Grandmaster Julio Sadorra is in Kalahari Ballroom E, and he is looking forward to taking on all comers to play Blitz against him. So if you happen to be on site, be sure to stop by that ballroom and, well, say hi to him and challenge him to a game of chess. As a small hint, he used to play with White the Catalan, so in case, you know, you're gonna face him and you're gonna have the black pieces, just be ready for that. That's all of the advice that I can give you. Later on, you'll have the opportunity, actually in about 15 minutes, you'll also have the opportunity to have the meet and greet in the girls club room and meet women international master Luciana Morales and international master and woman grandmaster Tatev Abrahamyan. They both will be in the girls club room. Later on, you will also have the chance to play a simul against WGM Jennifer Shahade. So be sure to stay on the look with the schedule and keep up with the other events that are on site if you want to have the opportunity to meet some of these strong players and ask their advice or maybe challenge them to a game. You'll have the opportunity to do these things tomorrow and Sunday as well, but we better do things when we can, right? The sooner the better, because I know many people might want to have the opportunity to meet them, so there might be a line. So you want to take your opportunity whenever you can. So looks like on board one in the K-8 championship, international master Brian Lynn has won his game. Let's catch up with the last part of the game. We left off after the opening. I was actually a bit interestingly intrigued by the move h3, and I was quite curious to see what was the follow-up that Brian was going to have in this position. I was suggesting maybe castle, queen e2, and it seems that he actually decided to go, or d4 also, but it looks like he chose to go for queen e2. So I'm actually quite interested to see how his setup was. So he took in d5 and he took in c6 as well. Interesting. So chose to give up the bishop, but now he is winning that pawn in the center, and maybe the one in g7 could be hanging too. So he gave up the bishop pair, but he's winning a pawn. Black should have some kind of compensation with those two bishops, but maybe it wasn't easy for black to actually find the right path. Knight d4. So Brian just chose to trade pieces. Hey, we're up a pawn when you are up material. If you can have the opportunity to trade pieces to make your life a bit easier, I highly recommend to do that. Rook e8, d3. Okay, so he's not rushing to play d4. He's trying to be mindful of the setup of the pawns, because, you know, if you go forward, you cannot go back with the pawn. So just making sure keeping things on the right, squares is important, no weaknesses, and then making sure he's improving. Now that black has set up this chain of pawns, he's thinking potentially to go a5 and weaken it further. Okay, g3, and black was the first to try to trade things off. I think it makes sense considering the two bishops are looking towards the king side, but probably it just ended up being another improvement for white, because yes, indeed, you are going to take the pawn in h3, but I guess these two pawns, especially this one in f4, was a weakness but a strength too, because it does support that square. It does give like a nice vibe. And obviously there's this idea too, which I'm curious if it wins a lot of material or not. Interesting. So I decided to keep the knight, but now a7 pawn is hanging. So after all was said and done, it looks that the calculation skills certainly paid off in this game for white, because while black probably thought all the way to this point, maybe saw knight d6 and the fact that the rooks would be traded, I think Brian went on just a little bit further. With pieces hanging like this, it's kind of easy to calculate, because you see pieces hanging and that you can capture, so you're naturally going to go for those lines first, and then you're calculating other things after. But definitely that was too much. In my opinion, black needs to try to kind of hold on the pressure here. Maybe if they want to play a 4, maybe support it like that, but playing a 4 too soon looks like it was definitely not in his favor. And yeah, now the support to promotion is very well said, sense of humor, because now, you know, the trade happens, we take there, and then white wind up with 3 connected passed pawns here, which are going to be difficult to stop by black. And Brian went on to promotion, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah, now if you capture the knight, rook c8, offering the rook trade, and of course promotion after, and it is over. A rook c5, white is up a rook, and black decided to resign. A beautiful game by Brian, and it was kind of interesting to see. He didn't lose patience in a way, right? He just played some natural moves of improving the position, took the opportunity to win the extra pawn, though it seemed that black would have some kind of compensation, and then just try to improve his pieces. He didn't do much in the game, and black unfortunately felt the need of doing something when f4 was played, and now white's just, you know, slowly getting the better of the game. On board 2, Ethan Guo. I thought Ethan also held the title of International Master. Actually, let me check. I could be wrong. Maybe he's just a FIDE master. He's just a FIDE master. Okay. So maybe he has some norms. His standard FIDE rating is 2400, 2404. So it should show there. I do not know why it doesn't show. b6. So we got a position where white has 2 hanging pawns, and generally with the hanging pawns you want to keep them in a straight line, because when they're in a straight line they control a lot of squares in the other side's territory, and then they can easily advance further. But the way white has them placed is also nice, because they do restrict the bishop in g7. But I think white seems to be enjoying a slightly more favorable position. It's not much, but it is a bit more favorable, in my opinion, for white. Though the engine doesn't seem to believe that, but I think. Okay, finally c4 is played, and now we have to find the right moment to push. White seems to have been quite familiar with the plans. Took. Alright, so it's a pretty balanced position. Everything is in place. We might attempt a5 and create a weakness on that side of the board. For now, those pawns are safe. Still balanced. Well played by Brian Andre for now. Very, very nice position. Alright, Tariq has started this. Okay, so you guys might remember, if you're here at the start of the stream, you might remember I was mentioning that when you fianchetto both of your bishops, when both of your bishops are fianchettoed, you want to be mindful with the breakthrough in the center. You obviously need to do it. You obviously need to have control. of the center. But if you're going to support e4, for example, with knight d2 and then support e4, right, you might remember that I mentioned that we don't want to get a closed in position because then these two bishops will be sad. We need to open up the diagonals for those bishops to look towards the other side of the board. And I suggested for white to support something with c4, and that's exactly what happened here. e3, d takes e3, pawn takes, and white went on to now attacking the center. Now that we've traded the pawn in d4, we can do that. And this is reminiscent and is definitely like the Benoni with the reverse colors. And generally, in the Benoni, white is up a tempo and has the pawn in e4. In this case, the pawn is on e6, not e5. And if black attempts to play e5, they have to be very careful because a lot of the times white can capture, followed by rook e1, queen e2, and then there will be some pressure on the e file with the king not castle. Black is going to struggle with figuring out what is the best setup for them. So most people don't play e5. They either let you capture, but in this case, we're talking about a loss of a pawn, which is not what we want, or capturing here yourself. And obviously, by the way, in case you're wondering, why didn't I show this other line? Surely you can do that, but I think you have to be careful about the same thing, rook e1, or maybe I can even capture. We need to calculate this to see if it works. So if you take back with the knight, obviously we'll take there and it's game over. If you take here, this was my concern. Do I take in d7 or do I take? I think I take the bishop. And then when you capture, I go maybe rook e1, say, no, not rook e1. There should be something better. Maybe. Do we not have something better? Oh, we just go rook e1 maybe here. See, this is what happens when you're rushing. To me. That was an advice to me. So rook e1 is a nice in-between move, escaping with the rook from the attack, pinning. We are temporarily down a piece, but both the bishop, this knight is hanging. Ideas with knight c6, knight g6 are something to be worried about. Obviously, if you capture, is going to be very bad for black. We can recapture, or maybe we can also go for bishop a3. Put extra pressure if we are going to attempt to win that bishop in e7 instead of the one in g2. This is definitely good for white. So you cannot afford with black, because white is almost done with the development and the file opens up towards the king. You cannot afford to go e5. So black has to capture. Bishop d6, everything seems relatively natural now. White is trying to take control of the center. Something they don't have control much of is this square. So that can be something black should consider. I wonder if black would have played something like this. I mean, maybe it's much, but I would consider trading that bishop. If you go to a1, okay, that is your choice. We can go rook c8, try to get some d5 in at some point. For black, I think it's very important to put pressure in the center. So, you know. Knight g4 weakens, or it doesn't weaken, but leaves some squares unprotected. Now, can we do something about it? I don't know, but I kind of like this move, which is terrible. Okay. Oh, because forgot about this move. Okay, so that move is possible. No worries, but that's an idea you have to keep in mind, right? Whenever you can go knight g5. Attack the pawn, do a discovered attack to the bishop that's unprotected. This is golden. We just need to make the move at the right moment. At the golden time. And h3 is not liked by the engine, so we have something, maybe knight e4? This is kind of cute. Because if you go back, now we're gonna go for the idea, knight, maybe the other knight, maybe this knight. Yeah. And if you go back, well, can I go here? Yeah, I think I can. So I'm attacking the bishop, and the knight is also attacking f7. If you take, I believe I recapture. And the thing is, you can never take here, because if I do recapture, it's kind of over. Maybe it can go even, yeah. I have threats to take there with both pieces. And this is looking devastating for black. So maybe knight e4 would have been a better decision, putting pressure, and yeah, I think it would be good. Bishop g3. White is very very aggressive here with this g4. But the bishop in g3 is going to be exposed eventually. It's going to be chased away. It's kind of hard to really evaluate this position for much better for white, because we're kind of stuck. We wish we could play d5. We wish we could play e4. e4, d5, basically, if we can make those two moves, yes. But at this point, it's just difficult to really say that we're much better. I do like ideas with the knight in g5. I would love for this knight to be brought to a better square, but it just seems like it got stuck. I wonder if white's considering something like this now to chase the bishop away. Or maybe just g5, knight e4 could work. Maybe that's what he wants to do. We'll be back. We'll be back to this, I think, to this game. Ooh, we're liking black's position here. So this was the game where Megan has played c4 early, and we were talking about this, how, you know, the pawn being there is giving black some chances to build up the space and support the majority on the queen side. As for white, it's difficult to break through with anything. So a4, knight e5, bringing in some pieces to b3. b5 is eventually the move that black is going to support. Queen c2, knight b3. Very nice placement of the knight. And now we just need to bring in new pieces into the game. See, these rooks are nicely placed, but we cannot go e4. We cannot play e4 because it's a problem, so maybe h3, g4 had to be played. Or maybe g4 direct. Can we just play? Ah, we cannot. I wish we could play g4 directly. Maybe bishop g5 and f4. I would be thinking of this. We can get rid of the bishop and then try to put the pawns on dark squares and just kind of focus a bit on that side of the board. But white is definitely not ready for e4 with the rook here. Probably rook e1 was not necessarily the best placement. I think this, oopsie, sorry, not that. I think this is the right placement for the rook, because it keeps the pawn protected, and if you do want to go for that plan, then it's gonna work. You still have to prep it with king h1, I believe. But we can certainly think about that path, and I think it's gonna be good for white. It's definitely gonna be good for white. Like, not much better, but definitely. f6. What are we missing here? What is the right idea for white? I don't think knight g6 works. Well, I don't believe we can take in c4 either, so like this just doesn't work. So why is it marking knight g4, which seems to be the only move a mistake? Does anyone have any idea? There might be some tactical thing that I'm missing here, but it's just... It seems strange. Because knight d3, they just take, and we're not attacking any... Can it be e4? No. Don't tell me it's takes. No. So is it takes then? No. Because this is just... Really? This is it? Wow. So this gives white... Wow. That's interesting. So white now after takes, you have to go there. King f7, of course, is going to get mated. And now probably king f2 rook h1, and black will have to try to find a drawing idea. But you know what's funny? Bishop g8, there's rook h1. Like, so you have to be careful. Like maybe f5 you have to play here, bishop g6, or actually rook h8. Rook h1, sorry. And this is bad. Hi there, Shifts. How are you doing? Wow, but this is not the kind of natural move that you're thinking about. I mean, you see it, but nobody's really thinking of giving up a knight. But yeah, that bar certainly helps. Obviously, you don't need to take with black. I think you're probably better off not taking because, you know, that's gonna be an issue. But she is she has played in the high school. Yeah, she has played in the high school. She's a FIDE master. I think, I wonder how many... She's got her WIM norm. I wonder how many WGM norms she has. She's... Yeah, she's in... Which grade is she in, actually, right now? She's in 7th grade. She's in 7th grade. Well, so the way it works in the US with, because in the US the national championships are by grades, not by age. Yeah, so if when they have K through 12, everyone who's up to the 12th grade, they can play in the championship section, right? So it makes sense. Um, for example, in the elementary, also the person who won the third grade section was in a second grader, Mehmet Ilyani. So yeah, like you have that ability to play in the if you're below that grade, obviously. If you're above a specific grade, you cannot, but if you're below, you can. So there's no rule that stops you from doing that. I think that's cool. If someone who's younger is, at the level, and they can compete. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's by grades. Yeah, in the US we don't have national championships by age. Yeah. That's why you see her competing, and it's great to see her competing in these. I think it's nice that some of the strongest kids in the country in their rating category or age category are playing in these tournaments, because I think they are the inspiration for others to keep going. And sometimes when you see someone who's younger, who's doing really well and working hard and trying to get better, and has the ability to actually play in a higher section, I think it inspires others to work harder and try to emulate what they are doing in a way, but also just simply um follow their path, and try their best to win against them, or be similar. So I love seeing that. I think it helps the overall growth of chess. If you would only see sometimes lower rated players competing in these tournaments, then it doesn't feel as big. Even if you win it, it doesn't feel as big. But when you can go there, work hard, go there, and you come from the position of a dark horse to win the competition, for example, then it makes it even bigger. So I think it inspires others to work harder. So I like when the juniors and the teenagers are competing in even sometimes even in higher grades sections. In my opinion, it's definitely inspirational. So hopefully it does feel the same way for the younger um, generations. So here we had a 4 by white, but okay, now it's difficult because white didn't quite get to coordinate the pieces with the knight here. The king wind up in h2. When you go back, this rook will not be connected to anything. The queen has been restricted from its attack to h7. So white never got anything on the king side, and now it will just have to deal with the pressure, the the advancement of the c pawn, which makes life very difficult. So we left off relatively early in the game, as I caught up with everyone, and I wasn't quite sure about the black's setup with allowing the f pawns to be doubled, but looks like he came up quite fine out of the opening, because although he gave up a pawn, he does build a little bit of initiative, and he will get that pawn back. We're threatening now knight takes c2 or doubling the pawns. And black should be able to put a bit of pressure on that side of the board. Now, if it were me, I feel that I would be considering maybe, what would I be considering to do? I wonder if this would be helpful. Just going back and forth and trying to to get the knight, because if you move, then we'll grab this one. Maybe black has to accept that. Your training partner is an IM. Okay, but you're learning new things. You're learning. You can still get to be stronger if you're enjoying the game. You know, don't. I don't know if you are saying that as a tough thing, like a negative thing, or positive. I don't know, but we all choose our path of things that we are passionate about more. We are spending more time in trying to get better. There's a lot that you can learn from chess, and there are other things that are important too. So I don't know how that comment was directed, but I hope you're not. I hope you're feeling good about the path you chose, even if it didn't lead you to an international master title. There's a lot of things you can do or learn from chess. It doesn't have to be being a super strong player, I think. I see. Well, I don't know how to respond to that. I see. Okay. Sorry, I keep going back and forth because I feel that there's a faster way to win here. And I was trying to figure out if we could somehow sack the rook, take the bishop or something. Or just like check king g8 f7, or not f7 yet. Now we take. No, now we take, and then we take. I think this should be winning. And after this check, if he goes there, I feel like we can do the same thing. So yeah, and if he goes king h6 to keep that pawn protected. I think we can still do the same thing because we have this check. So what's... Why would white trade first? I mean, this is probably winning too, but I think this is gonna make life more difficult because if you go for this endgame, imagine on actually, like, if black manages to take this pawn, then rook knight versus rook, it might be a draw. I don't know. I think Joshit might have rushed a little bit in this position. Hopefully he will be mindful. Maybe he can, but if he checks first, maybe he can do this. And now I'm liking this idea. Oh, sorry, he can't do it yet. Oh, wait, is this endgame a win? I think it's a draw. Let's see. If we do this, he's gonna make it to the pawn, so we need to try to stop him. Okay, this is very tricky. King g6. And now king f6 maybe. No, it's the same. Maybe a5. Oh, d3 to deflect you, and then okay, this is tough to see. This is very tough to see. Okay, this is a bit scary. Hopefully Joshit will find some way to outplay his opponent, because it's getting a bit. He lost the edge with f takes g6 for sure. Ooh, we got some attack here. Let's check it out. Okay, so this was the game between VJ, like Mason and VJ, and it was theoretical, and it seemed that, and looks like it's VJ was able to win. This bishop e6 was the only way to defend in that position, the pressure on the knight in e7, and now we are building in bishop d3. Okay, white was able to build something, but it's not easy to really break through these pawns. Would this have worked? Maybe could have. It's maybe queen f3. But still king g7. I mean, black is safe. Black is safe. So white is attempted some kind of attack, but in the end it looks like it was black that took control. Okay, with the queens off the board, that pawn in e6 is weak, is going to be lost shortly. And black is up a pawn and just won a second one, and looks like VJ went on to win. Very beautiful. Very beautiful play by VJ. I like that. So this was that, it started as a Smith Mora, but white captured with queen takes d4, move 3. Okay. White's building up the attack, queen h6, no, queen h6. Ooh, very nice. Very nice pawn pushes, restricting the black bishops. a6 also maybe at some point, no? He didn't want to play e6. I would have done it. But okay, there's bishop c6, so we're not actually restricting the bishop. Okay. I will admit we are not restricting the bishop. So I'm envisioning some pressure and sacrifices. This opening was theory for a while, or are you talking about the VJ's game? Yeah, VJ's game was theory for a while. Yeah. It was. Great to see you here, Book Move. Previous game, yeah. But what was the correct move for white? Do you know? Do you know the correct continuation there? And this, like, where did white kind of mess up? Was this idea with rook h3? Or maybe it was queen g4? Maybe he should have played rook h3 directly and not care. Actually, I wonder if this would have mattered. I mean, he can still play g6, right? It's kind of hard to come up. I see. Yeah, I mean, with the pawn in e6, it's difficult to imagine that white will have much, because you can't take your own pawn. Like, so that pawn is just, you know, hindering white's attack rather than helping it, unless you somehow manage to get to f7, which is very difficult to expect that you'd actually manage to bring a queen there. So because of that, is just, this position is just not easy. Not easy at all, yeah. Okay, so wait, we were somewhere here. I was trying to figure out whether there was some kind of improvement for white. I mean, I definitely wanted to make that move, but obviously this pawn is hanging, so maybe we can just protect it, like rook e1, or maybe knight d2. I don't know if d5 is very, very serious for black. If it's not, maybe we could have played here, and then I think white definitely... I mean, the best would be for the knight to go to f5, but it's not. We cannot always get every single thing we want, you know? You know what they say, you can't have everything. I really wanted something with queen a7 to work. Okay, so is white bringing the knight towards f5? Now I'm thinking queen f3, knight d3, knight f5. Or maybe just knight h6, knight f5. Why am I wasting the time? Ah, oops. This is why I'm wasting the time. Okay. Let's can white go queen a7? I mean, that was a move I want to make forever. Is it really that bad? Maybe h5. We need to be careful with white. It's not that simple. It's not. If you are on site, by the way, in Round Rock, be sure to stop by. I think what was the name of the room? Kalahari. Let me double check it. Kalahari Ballroom E if you want a chance to challenge guest grandmaster Julio Sadorra for some blitz games. He's currently there. And if you are a lady, you want to stop by the girls club room and learn more about the events and that are happening in the girls club room with international master Tatev Abrahamyan and women's international master Luciana Morales. Okay, rook e1 I like. We can finally consider queen a7 later, maybe. Or maybe white wants to find a way to get the knight to f5 like I wanted in the first place. The knight there would be unpleasant in a way. And as long as there's no sacrifice to try to get the knight, I think that would be a good setup for Elliot. So this was the Larsen transposed into a reverse French. Black is following through with the right kind of plan. At first, I wasn't sure what was going on when the knight was played in g3, but then h5, h4 was really the right kind of idea. So now white enjoys... does not enjoy the position. Black enjoys a more favorable position for sure. White has the ability to trade the bishop, but if it trades too soon, the knight will come in and more pieces are going to put pressure on white's king. How to proceed with black here? Queen f5? Or king g7? Just a nice improvement kind of move. Something else I'm thinking about would be bringing in the knight here, but it takes a bit of time. I wish there's something faster. Oh, maybe we can just take then to make things faster. And now maybe knight g4. Since knight f4 will allow g5 at some point, so black can put some pressure in this position for sure. This is nice. So this is the game where Maxwell was building up the pressure in the center. e5 is generally necessary when you see white having these two pawns in the center. You generally want to stop them and put one of your own pawns. Otherwise, e5 will be played. This knight will be chased away, and bishop e1, and white's pressure on the king side. Oh, sorry, it's going to be devastating. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Apologies. So after e4, I'm a bit surprised that white didn't go for e5. Seems like the right thing to do. This queen is so sad, and I gotta tell you, I had a game one time. I thought I'm just putting the queen in h7 temporary. I thought it was just gonna be temporary. Yeah, that queen never came back out of there. Like, it's not easy. Once you place your queen there, it's about all you can expect. The queen will be trapped for a while, and yeah, we need to look for ways to improve it as fast as we can. White is putting pressure on the d file, makes sense. I mean, taking control of the file. But I don't like that black managed to lock in those pawns. I really wish e5 was played. I mean, I know the queen is still there, so white is just enjoying a position with queen up, kind of. But, ooh, g5 cannot be a good move. Oh, that's tough. Maybe, I mean, I know it's not great, but still allows... No, because, like, now maybe we can do this. And we'll lose the pawn, but maybe we'll free up the queen if this happens, you know? Actually, can we take here? We can take here. Now, black can find a little bit of coming back into the game. Obviously, after king h8, white... wait, if white takes here, maybe we can still take. And this would be fine for black. This is very fine. Well, not this. If we take him b6. So king h8, I think, would have been the nice kind of approach to get the queen into the game. Okay, we can take here. And then, wait, can we still take? Yeah. Like, this bishop takes f5 is the way to go, actually. But I think you cannot do it just yet, because if you do it right now, why, in case you're wondering why king h8 is necessary, if you do it right now, because of the queen in h7, okay? Queen takes e5 happens. And if you recapture, well, you're gonna get mated. If you don't, well, you lost the rook. So in case you're wondering, this is the reason why, you know, black has to move the king, not just to bring the queen, but also that stops the mate. So he can actually have the threat to grab that pawn. I'm sure white has some good move here. I don't know if g4 is too much. I guess maybe it is. Maybe it allows some. What about rook f1? I know it's not, it's out of the ordinary, but we avoid the capture of the pawn. I mean, maintaining the queen there, you know, for a while longer. Now rook d8 is difficult to meet. Yeah, bishop f5, but queen takes, very strong. And now Max is on his way to winning this, because takes. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful finish by white. But it was definitely very tough for black to really find defenses with the queen stuck in the corner. I'm telling you, it's not the kind of situation that you want to get in. All right, Alex is doing quite well in this position. Extra pawn, right? And this knight is not doing well. We just need to find the right break, like where we break to open up a file. But once black figures that out, I think he will be on the right path. Actually, I'm thinking of some creative ways of sacrificing and stuff. But obviously, white can move the king. But you know, just a potential option. You know, if you're thinking about it, that could be something. All right, what have we got over here? I wonder why white didn't take. Seems like the right thing to do. Maybe he thought he's weakening black's position, but I think in fact it has strengthened it because now white will not have that ability to go queen e4. So what I was thinking is if we took here directly, right? We do want to play rook d7, so just play some random move for black to show you what I wanted to do. So rook e7, right? Threatening the knight, and it's pinned, so you have to go here. And now we're going queen e. Wait, what? It's not as strong? Come on. Aw. Because there's always knight of fate. That's why. Well, fine. No worries. We're going here. We're going here. We're going for the mate. I thought this was winning because, you know, we're threatening the mate there. We're threatening rook e8. But we're pretty much getting into the same situation where knight of fate is a defensive idea. But hey, what about rook takes? Does it work? No? Aw. Okay, fine. Wait. I feel like there is something I'm missing here after g6 for white to really take control of the position. Maybe now queen back here, or maybe queen h4, queen somewhere, and then we'll have the, you know, capturing g6, and or maybe bishop c4. Oh, this looks even more devastating. Pressure in f7, queen takes g6 as a threat. Ooh, this is hard to find a defense to because the knight is pinned, so you can't even go to f8 or e5, and yeah, white's position is pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, I mean, sometimes attracting weaknesses does not play in our favor, because I guess he got 95. If we took it directly, though, my question is 95 still an option? Bishop c2? It's about the same, maybe. Maybe not. Yeah, see, now maybe we would have had this move queen e4, and we would threaten the check and the pawn, but now we don't have that move. Just a thought. Just a thought. By the way, this is the last board, board 12 from the championship section. Ooh, this is a cute tactic. This was a cute tactic. Knight f4. I guess it's not the best. It's not the best necessarily, but it is cute. I think h4 seems very natural here for black. Just chase the knight away. Since all of this was pushed. And there was a nice game that I saw at some point of Anand's where he never castled, he actually pushed the h-pawn, and then this rook made its way through h6 or h5, and then came on the g-file, and I think that's certainly something that black would have considered here. But, okay, this wins material now after queen takes. So we have a queen for what? Queen for 3 minor pieces. Yeah, this is not Not looking good. I just want to catch up with the remaining of the boards. See if we have some. Ooh, wait, what? Did did White mistakenly touch the rook here and just drop the queen? I think so. I mean, yeah, this is tough because when you take, probably rook takes or knight takes c3 or just takes here and then takes the pawn. I think this is what happened, probably. Because black's not winning here. I mean, it's better, but oh, there was a board that didn't actually show the moves. I forgot which one it was. Okay, so in these types of pawn structures, we have opposite side castling, right? So when that's the case, we need to find a way to attack the opponent's king. We need to go for it. Go for the attack. At all price. I don't think knight takes d4 is really a threat. Can we go g4? I'm all in. I'm all in for this. That doesn't work. I know g4 is a bit too aggressive. Probably this. Okay, so let's prepare it. We want to play g4. What's the best way to support g4 here? There's no best way. But we know he doesn't want to take because we'll take in h7. So maybe h3, g4, rook g1, g4. Something like that. Moving the bishop away from the diagonal is just not in the cards for white. So that's a pretty equal position. And wait, what happened here? I remember this is the position where they closed down the position, and looks like now black is the one with the bad bishop, but he's the one who's building up potentially threats on the king side. So what happened? Oh, they took control over the only file in the game and then they traded everything. I'm sure they probably agreed on a draw here. Maybe white offered a draw after queen c1. There's no real progress here. I guess they closed down. They closed down everything, so that's definitely an upset, and that's on that board. I'm curious how these players under 1400 are playing this rook endgame. It's supposed to be a draw, but and someone blundered earlier. And white probably was afraid to take the pawn. Oh, I'm sorry. White was probably afraid to take the pawn because they thought this could give black maybe some chances. Actually, I want to go maybe here to go to g4 if you check me again. And then I want to bring in the rook. And I think white definitely has chances to win there. But they ended up trading a pair of rooks. And this is a slightly better endgame for white due to a better pawn structure, but that's about all. There's no real weaknesses that cannot be protected by black. I'm just curious if this will end in a draw or if someone's going to make a mistake. Oops, I guess they did. All right, mistake has been made. Which one of you can find the winning idea for white now? I'm thinking too. It's like rook takes c6, pawn takes. And then I think the king just comes in, because if you attempt the push of that pawn, it's going to be captured, and then you have to be on the look for h5 break. Or maybe we just go h5 break. Maybe we can just do that, h5 break. and then come back to get the pawn. I think we might be winning for white. Okay, king f4. So this might be winning for white also, because if you sit and do nothing, I will just play here. No, not there, sorry. I'll here, here, some fish, this, and I'm faster. I guess this works too. Wait, this allows e5. Okay, can I play h5, takes, king f5? I think so. King f5, important move to stop the king from going there. If you push this pawn, yeah, it's mate. This is mate. And, you know, giving this extra check wouldn't help because, you know, you're still gonna be mate. So h5 is a must. And then if black tries to get in the box of this pawn, in that case, what's the fastest way? Let's see, do I have time to push king e8 here? Yeah, I think so. This, actually I can go here and I'm winning faster because now whichever pawn you push, right, I promote first. So this is a win. So white messed up, and white might have given up the chance to win this. No, but now he's losing because he cannot take the h pawn. He needs to win the h pawn. Oh, double blunder. Oh no. Oh no, this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be a tough one. White has to be careful now. I'm not even sure what's the drawing way. Because if we go back here, oh yeah, this should be fine because you cannot advance because I managed to defend right on time. Yeah, so you have to stay there. Now I can play h5. So that's why black cannot advance. But I think white might not have been familiar with the moving box, it's called. So he went away from the box of this pawn. And now he's losing. Because by the time he gets there, black will just win. He knows to win this. Okay. So black has won this. I mean, this is totally unexpected. This is totally unexpected. So what I was talking about earlier, so if we go here with the king, it's not fully the moving box, basically, yeah, because luckily we can go there. If we couldn't, let's just say we would have done this. Now this is the moving box, because if you go to try to grab that, they will push. And then if you go to take that pawn, they just advance by themselves. They don't need the help of the king. But directly here after king f3, yeah, definitely. If the king goes there and we push, we are in the box of this pawn, which the box is this, by the way. But yeah, black is still winning because they can use the support of the king to the side of the board, and black will be winning. Wow. Okay, this is totally an unexpected result. I mean, I thought white was gonna win, but you see, you have to keep your focus all the way till the end, and white was the one who was struggling with the time as well. So that was certainly something difficult to deal with. You have to go by intuition, and if you studied a lot of king and pawn in games, then you know your intuition might be going great. But if you didn't, then That's a problem. So it looks like we only have, how many games? 8 games remaining, actually. 8 games remaining out of 20 that are still being played right now. What time is it? This looks kind of balanced. Another king and pawn endgame. Let's see how they got there. From a rook one. Ah, this was the one that I wasn't quite happy with Jaden's. I think Jaden's choice of opening, but white blundered relatively fast, thinking that they are winning material, but ended up with the pawn down. And after trading all the pieces, black was on the way to win this. Okay. But how did they get into a king and pawn endgame? Okay, traded everything. Black should have no trouble pushing the... Okay, they had no trouble. Sorry, I misjudged. Yeah. Okay, so that's how black won the game. Very nice. And then... Ooh, 2 queen mates. Okay, so someone must have blundered something at some point. So this was the game that black was doing better, but seems to have messed up here with bishop takes e2. I believe we said, I don't know if we said something here. I think this would have won a pawn, but this would have won earlier too, or bishop takes d4. Black missed for a couple of moves the opportunity to open up the c-file and get the material. Yeah, the outsider passer is the winning way. Okay. So despite not being able to take the material immediately, he eventually found a way to grab it, and now he should be on his way to win this. And he was, because he's... Okay, and then a second queen was created, and yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna take another short break to stretch, and we'll be back with the final moments of this first round of the National Middle School Championship that's taking place in Round Rock. I hope you can stay close. It will be definitely a short break only, and I'll leave you with the last 8 games remaining. Last 8 games are these. So you have some games from, let's pull this down a little bit. I cannot, this is the max. So you have 8 games. How many of them? Top 4 are still for the championship section. Looks like many are really getting close to finishing. So very short break, 5-minute break, and I'll be right back with you guys. Stay close. All right, we are back. I saw um, on my way back that a lot of the games are finishing up. I think we'll have much less. So just a bit as a big recap, um, a beautiful game by Brian here. He took advantage of somewhat of miscalculation from his opponent who was able to outplay him. It looks like Ethan is, well, has just finished the game a bit earlier and has been able to support his past pawns. This was a relatively balanced game for a long time, but at some point White seems to have blundered with King G2, which allowed Black to win that pawn in A4. White kind of stayed with the weaknesses, and looks like Black was able to just, you know, after winning that A pawn, start marching his own, trade it off towards, you know, simplify the position further, and that A pawn was a killer because that bishop from afar, and that's why they say bishops are better in open positions with pawns on both sides of the board, because you can just be on one side chilling and support a pawn to the other side. Whereas for the knight, unfortunately, it would require a few moves to really make it to stop those pawns, and unfortunately White seems to have been a bit too late to the party. It made its way to b3, but after rook takes e5, a cute finish here. I believe probably rook b1 is winning too, but rook takes e5 is a nice way to finish. When you take the rook, we promote, and if you don't, we'll make our way back, grab your knight and promote. So yeah, I like that finish. Tariq was able to checkmate his opponent. A very nice finish here too, with that bishop being restricted, and White is just an extra rook. And we had a mate in h8. Oh la la, Megan has finished beautifully. We had not seen the end of this game, but we saw the pawn in c3 being menacing and threatening promotion, but looks like she was able to take the b2 pawn. Knight c4, queen c6. Maybe this move gave White some ideas, some active ideas potentially, but White didn't take the chance. And after knight d2, lost that pawn, and now I think that those two pawns are unstoppable. Very nice finish by Megan. Good to have her in the mix of the top players in the 8th grade section championship. Okay, Jashit was able to outplay his opponent in the end, even if it was in this moment that he could have certainly won a bit faster, in my opinion, had he found the move knight g5. Just simply chasing the king away, and then we can, whether king g8 or king h8, same thing would happen after that. We would just capture here, and if Black would have played here, we can certainly take once again and f7, track the king to go back to g7, and now this. And obviously, if you go bishop c5, then I believe knight, not knight e6. I guess not knight e6, maybe f6 first. It's actually kind of cute. This is so cute. f6 first, so that the king cannot make its way to g7. Then the knight will go to e6 and will promote. So this would be like a really fine continuation there. Let's catch up with with those games that are still alive. Is this one of those games? But it looks like Black shows 0-0. Maybe he still has the 10 seconds delay, but White is on his way to win. No, I believe this was the game. That was the top game. White made its way to checkmate in the corner or somewhere, I think. Yeah. This is kind of cute. This would have been a cute mate, but okay, Black allowed. Yeah, now it's over. Okay, beautiful game by Elliot. Okay, this game is still in progress. So this is the one where I was trying to figure out. Black had the advantage, definitely. Better placed pieces, more space, but how exactly to outplay the opponent in close positions is always tricky, because sometimes if you're not mindful about how you're going to break through the position, you can actually give the opponent some chances to defend. But I do like this, and I think after takes, Black is ready for a sacrifice. This is going to be painful if that actually happens. We like that for Black. We like that idea for Black for sure. Okay. It's nice. Was this the game with the queen that was stuck in the h7? Yeah. Black had a small chance, but unfortunately missed it, and then it was too late. Let me actually check the remaining games. So Zhao against Zheng. So this is the next game. This was the game where white delayed the capture of a pawn in d4, if you remember, and now is trading off towards a queen endgame where he's up a pawn. Not up a pawn. It looks like he's up a pawn, but he's not, because those pawns are double on the f file. The question is, will black be able to find a perpetual or not? Because white's pawn will otherwise march. I believe the king can stay in a2. It's always nice to keep the queen's center. Oh, now it's over. Now that pawn is going to be winning the game. But it's a king and pawn endgame. We gotta be careful to make sure that we're fully supporting the pawn. Like, obviously white has to take. Black's gonna go king f8, and now we have to see the exact improvement methods, because black will attempt the creation of a passed pawn. So king e8, king d6 is the right approach, and the king will make its way there to stop these pawns. If you like do something like that, and then I think we can probably go king f. What? It doesn't want king f6? It should be fine. Maybe king f5 then. We could potentially also go h4, I think, because we're destroying. No. Oh my goodness. What am I missing? Ah, oops, my bad. This king will make it to the. I mean, I like king f5. I don't know why the bar is going down. It just seems the right way to do things. But since he has no threat, I can also just start pushing my pawn on that side of the board, create another passed pawn, and then I'll keep my pawns in an L shape so that the king cannot capture them, and then I'm just gonna win these. It's easy. Alright, the other remaining game is this one. This was the game where black won the queen. Sorry about that. Should be winning for black. Because now if you put the rook in e1, which you have to, that pawn is hanging too. So we have these two games still in progress, back to back. This one looks winning for black. And this one, white's bishop is stronger, is better, but and then this one, this rook endgame. Let me know if there's a particular game you want me to go over, or stay on the look for in these last moments. White is a bit stuck with these rooks here, and the rook in a3 is very nicely placed, keeping the pressure, and restricting the king from advancing, because if white's king makes its way to c3, then that pawn will be lost. But he doesn't allow. Onur Karabulut. I think the game is over. Or maybe not. Maybe not, but it was looking like it was going to be over. Wait, what happened? Why didn't he take the queen? I'm a bit confused here. Why didn't he take the queen? Oh, he thought it's mate and he forgot about queen d2 maybe? Oh, oops. He's still winning. He's still winning. He's still up a pawn, but I mean, he could have taken the queen. I mean, he's very low on time. Like that's a bit of a stressor. I know those situations, so hopefully he doesn't panic and makes a move now. The time control for the tournament is 90 minutes with 10 seconds delay. So, and we're getting delay for the games. We're getting the delay by 2 moves. Okay, now he has to fight a bit longer. It's not so easy. He could have just taken the queen. Must have completely blanked out about the move rook d2, queen d2. Okay, so we'll be back to this. We'll be back to this game. I think Austin is on his way to win. Austin Zhao. Okay, so he's following the right path that I suggested. So he's creating a second pass pawn, but I guess he brought in the king there. So by the time black is going to do things here, should be fine. Potentially. Let's see. Well, I mean, we're not gonna touch that, I guess. And white is faster now. If you go here, you're not stopping it. So Eric is on his way to win. Who else? Connor was winning. Queen should be winning. Then we have the Onur game. Looks like rooks got traded off. And he won another pawn. Okay, he needs to play relatively fast, but he should be fine now. He needs to be careful with how he checks to make sure white is always in check, or that he makes sure his king is not gonna get, you know, mated. But other than that, there should be no problem for black to convert that game. This is the highest contested game, I think, from the remaining ones, because that bishop is bad, but how does white actually progress? Because once you start playing c4 or something, it's going to be helping black develop. And then this is that rook endgame that black was doing better. Looks like he did win the f pawn, and now we're looking for some potential mates. Okay, white. Looks like white did allow that. 95. Such a nice move, 95. No queen trades. We're still maintaining the support of the knight. And oh, probably black won on time. Okay, but this was winning anyways. This is definitely winning. And then this one was won by black. This one. Okay, the line seems to be following what we suggested. I guess white did decide to take that capture was not necessary, you know. Yeah, now they're just gonna go for the pawn pushes, but when you do take, we're having a6. If you do not take and you choose to go king there, we'll check you and then we'll promote. So white's on his way to win this one. Okay, black is getting closer and closer to converting this game. Extra queen, all of those 2 pawns. Okay, so I guess let's see this queen endgame. All right, what did we miss here? Queen e6 check. So he kept his queen in b5. Okay, he's taking everything. That makes sense. Hiding from checks. Okay, drop that pawn, but that's okay. Actually, white only has 1 check now, if we think about it. Or 2 checks. This, then check. Here we go there, and no more checks. So black probably can push in that case. You check. Go here, and then we go here. And since you have no more checks, black is getting ready to promote. Okay, looks like that happened. Queen c3 check first to see where you're going. Maybe we'll grab this pawn with check e2. Apparently that was a mistake. Black managed to play c5. I think c4 probably had to be played earlier. Okay, black is winning a rook now. If you go to d2, you lose the rook, and if you go there, rook b3 checky, and this rook is lost. Austin is about to convert his game to 2 queens. Is a bit much. So Connor has been able to convert this. Very nice for him. Onur just promoted his 2nd queen. Very nice. No checks, 2 queens, no stalemates. No stalemate ideas. So he should be good to go. White has plenty of places to go to. Okay. So I guess the most the game that will be, you know, the most. Okay. Are they playing till mate? No. Okay, I understand. I cannot say don't play till mate. I totally understand. So I guess this is the game that's going to be our you know, most final game to look at, because Eric. No, not this game. Austin has won the game. Connor has won the game. Onur is about to win with a checkmate the next move. Good job, Onur. And this is our last remaining game, basically. I mean, there's one more, but the other one is also really close to win, which was this one. Because black is about to win the rook. There's nothing you can do. With the rook down is definitely going to be in his favor. So let's stay with this game for now, because I thought North is down. Hey, welcome. I thought that white was doing much better earlier in this game, but I guess he went wrong somewhere. Like not much, but like was keeping the pressure. I didn't think, okay, the bishops probably shouldn't have been traded. This bishop belongs to c5 probably, to make sure the bishop is dead. And then maybe you can play c4. But here I didn't think black would get, maybe b4 had to be played here to make sure c5 is not happening, but c5 can still happen, so. Oh, I'm so sorry. Why did I do that? Okay, fixed it. Okay. So king e2. Maybe white should have flipped, switched over to the e file, or definitely c4. I think. Okay, now he's coming to the e file. F3. Black. If black manages to trade that bad bishop, he should be fine. For those of you who are wondering what other things you can do in case you're on site, just keep in mind there are a few guest grandmasters and international masters on site. Highly recommend stopping by and checking out some of the events. Right now it's 4:19, so if you stop by the girls club room, you'll still have the opportunity to enjoy some game analysis and socialize. And at 4:30 Central Time, WGM Jennifer Shahade is going to be giving a simul to all comers in Kalahari Ballroom E. So stop by there if you want to. As for the next round, it actually starts at 6 p.m. Central Time, which is the local time. And I will definitely be back with that round once this game is over. We'll take a break, and then I'll step out for a bit, come back for commentary of round 2. So be sure to be close. It's what reference? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean. North is down, but that's the location where the tournament takes place. It's close to Austin in Texas, in the United States. That's where the tournament takes place. The two players have played inspiring chess, I would say. This is board 3 in the under 1700 section of the 8th grade championship. And black seemed to be the one who was defending mostly, but now pretty much all of black's pieces look better. White is the one who has more weaknesses. The question is, can black really find a breakthrough somehow? Because the king doesn't have an entrance, the rooks can't really improve. D4 would be the only thing to consider, but it's hard to consider actually making the move. I guess he did. Never mind. I was about to say, because there would be either a weakness created, it could have been a weakness and a pass pawn on the d file, but black probably was worried that white would have the majority here, so. Okay, 11 years knows more, I guess. I don't know. I don't know references. I'm not the best at references. But thanks for stepping in. Okay, we see white with 0-0, but I don't think white lost on... Okay, he did not. I'm trying to think if there's some improvement idea here for white. Does anyone see anything? Okay. Interesting. No, no, all good, Narcissus, no worries. No worries at all. Actually, I wanted to check the ratings of these two players. So this is board 3 in the under 1700 section. So Nirav is 1682 from Virginia, and Mailani is 1500 from Texas. So the player with the white pieces should be the one trying to play for a win, but at this point, both players have played really good chess. A round rook would be silly. Well, I guess it could have multiple meanings. I don't know. Maybe they play. Who knows? Should black try to make his way with the king this way? It's too slow. It's too slow. This is an interesting endgame. I mean, I'll probably spend more time later in trying to figure out whether there's an improvement. The bar doesn't change, which makes me believe there isn't, but it's just both players have weaknesses at this point, and nobody's going to activate that rook too much to leave them behind. Because if some trades, some more pawns fall, like for example, if white goes here to try to get that, but then black gets the rook to d2, for example, just to kind of show you, I don't think this is gonna be ideal. Like, I think, is this endgame a draw? It should be, right? This endgame should be a draw. But like, if you do actually play this, I'm liking black's chances here. Like, definitely, because those two pawns will be much more powerful, I think. Or maybe, just maybe, black can play a4 or c4. I guess not. Really? Is it really wanted? This is not good enough for a win? Guess the pawn is not strong enough. Although white's king stays on mate. But I mean, it's not really necessary that they activate the rooks. They can just kind of try to repeat. Okay, now black has some chances. Like big chances. Oh no, no, he allowed king b4. No. No, king c3 had to be played. King c3, I think. Oh no, still rook f2. What's the correct move here then? Ah, maybe rook back to give a cheeky. And then the king will go to e4 and grab that probably. So if you go rook f2, probably this. Yeah, so when you advance there, you'll be checked, and then white will take. And white has sufficient counterplay here, yes. So I guess black is able to win this, potentially. Because if that pawn falls, those two pawns, there'll be 2 versus 1. There'll be 2 pawns versus 1. Definitely something we want. Oh no, I did. Oh, this is too fast. This is too fast even for me. No. This pawn has to be protected. Oh, and then this. One move, one extra move. Oh, I think probably black thought he's winning a rook with rook a4 and probably forgot. So now they're gonna and didn't trade because realized that this is a draw, so he didn't trade. Ugh. No trade. This is gonna be a draw, or someone's gonna lose on time. It's like one of the two. One of the two situations. Because now white can sack the rook for that pawn, black is gonna go grab that one, and it's going to be a draw. Draw, 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 draw. Aw, that's sad. Yeah, I have. Oh, you've seen me with a t-shirt usually. No, I have 2 US chess jackets, or maybe I have more. I don't know. I have a few. I feel like I have to represent when I do commentary, you know? It's, it's professional. It's looking more professional. Not that usually I don't dress professional when I do commentary. I'm just saying. I just feel like it's more professional. And it's somehow the weather's changed a lot where I live. So my apartment is relatively cold, and it's May, so I expected summer vibes, but it's still pretty cold. So jacket it is. Oh my goodness! No, what just happened? What just happened? Did black? So black lost on time, or just made this move and lost the position, or something. But how? How did this happen? Well, easy. Because the problem is white is in the box of that pawn, but black is not in the box of this pawn, which is this one. And OMG, you can attempt to do something like this, but the problem is like you're just one move behind. So like when you go there to try to get in the box, the pawn marches. Oh no. Oh, I feel for black because this is heartbreaking. I feel heartbreaking for my Lani. It's chess, guys. It is chess. What can we do? What can we do? Sometimes we make mistakes, but it was definitely a great game. Very, very positionally play. Like defending, and then when it was the right time, Mailani was able to improve the position, push the pawn forward, and even got the winning situation here. And unfortunately, must have missed that after King D2, the Rook A4 doesn't actually win the Rook, and now instead of or check, at least give a check first, or Rook A3 or check, and then the king goes, and then the pawn pushes. That's tough. Yeah, time scrambles are tough, and many of these kids are still at the beginning, despite um, their the grade they're in. We don't know when exactly they started playing chess, but again, like I love seeing fighting spirit until the end, and I certainly hope that we'll see my Lani again on one of the DGT boards, because I was certainly impressed with the play in this game. It's just really a pity for the end. I thought this game should end in a draw. But this was our last game of the round, guys. I certainly hope you enjoyed the commentary. If you are on site, don't forget to stop by either the girls club room, as they have still things going on throughout the day, or join in WGM Jennifer Shahade's all-comers simul in Kalahari Ballroom E. It has just started, but I'm sure she's going to take new people as they join in, so you'll have about 2 hours to play against her. I will be back in about an hour and a half. Next round starts at 6 p.m. Central Time, so I'll be back at that time streaming, so about an hour and a half. Fine commentary appreciated. Thank you all for being here. If you cannot join, just keep in mind tomorrow there'll be 3 rounds. I'll be here from the morning from 10 a.m. US Eastern Time, and throughout the day you will catch me for sure at some point in time with 3 rounds, and on Sunday as well, as usual, 2 rounds. You will see me here. So If you have to go, don't feel bad. I'll be I'll be around. And again, super thankful to be here. Thanks to US Chess and all the US Chess staff and volunteers to help make this a great event. And of course, always the sponsors for the tournament: Silver Knights, GT Anywhere, and Invisalign. I believe they have a booth if you are on site, so you definitely want to stop by. Silver Knights usually does game analysis, and if you go to check out the Invisalign booth, I know Women's International Master and Dr. Carolina Blanco is going to be on site with giveaways. There might be some other booths. I'm not aware of all of them, but definitely stop by and check them out. As for me, I'm signing off for now, and looking forward to seeing all of you in about an hour and a half. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and